When dealing with electrical wiring for receptacles, especially in residential settings, it's important to consider best practices that go beyond the minimum code requirements. While backstabbing wires into outlets is permitted by code, using screw terminals offers a more reliable and secure connection. Explain the benefits of screw terminal connections and parallel wiring to clients. Screw terminals provide a mechanical clamping force that is less likely to loosen over time compared to the spring pressure of backstab connections. This can reduce the risk of loose connections, which can lead to arcing, overheating, and potentially electrical fires. Parallel wiring, where each outlet is independently connected to the circuit, allows for a more even distribution of current and reduces voltage drop. In a series wiring configuration, the current must flow through each outlet to reach the next, which can result in a decrease in voltage at the end of the circuit. This voltage drop can affect the performance of electronic devices and appliances. Inform clients about the improved reliability and safety of making screw terminal connections instead of backstabbing. Explain that parallel wiring allows for more even distribution of current and reduces voltage drop. Present options to clients, such as charging a reasonable premium for using screw terminals and parallel wiring. This allows them to choose the level of reliability and efficiency they desire. Emphasizing the value of high-quality connections can differentiate your services. Clients may be willing to pay a bit more for the peace of mind that comes with knowing their electrical system is wired to a higher standard. If the competition is using backstabbing and series wiring, you may need to evaluate the market demand and adjust your approach accordingly. However, emphasizing the value of higher quality connections can differentiate your services. When quoting jobs, factor in the additional time and materials required for using screw terminals and parallel wiring. Be transparent with clients about the reasons for the higher cost, highlighting the long-term benefits of improved reliability and safety. Regarding the number of bedroom outlets, while the National Electrical Code, or NEC, does not specify a limit, it's a good practice to follow a general rule of thumb to ensure adequate convenience and functionality. A common guideline is to install at least 2 duplex outlets per bedroom, 1 on each wall. This provides a minimum of 4 receptacles, which should be sufficient for most basic needs. For larger bedrooms or those with multiple furniture items, consider adding an additional outlet or 2. This will provide more flexibility in furniture placement and reduce the need for extension cords. Here is a suggested guide. Firstly, small bedrooms, those between 100 and 150 square feet, use 2 duplex outlets. Secondly, medium bedrooms, those between 150 and 200 square feet, use 3 duplex outlets. And thirdly, large bedrooms, those that are 200 square feet or more, use 4 duplex outlets. Additional considerations should be taken into account to provide well-designed and functional electrical wiring. Consider potential furniture placement and install outlets in appropriate locations. Think about where beds, dressers, desks, and other furniture items will likely be placed and ensure that outlets are easily accessible. Avoid placing outlets behind furniture where they will be difficult to reach. Ensure that outlets are spaced in accordance with the National Electrical Code, or NEC, typically 12 feet apart. The NEC specifies that no point along a wall line should be more than 6 feet from an outlet. This ensures that extension cords are not needed to reach most locations in the room. Consider potential future needs, such as charging stations or additional appliances. With the increasing number of electronic devices, it's a good idea to provide extra outlets to accommodate charging needs. Also, consider whether there might be a need for additional appliances, such as air conditioners or space heaters. Ensure that all wiring and outlet installations comply with the latest edition of the National Electrical Code, or NEC. The NEC provides detailed requirements for electrical safety and should be followed carefully. In the 2008 NEC Article 210.52 addresses receptacle outlet requirements in dwelling units. Specifically, 210.52. 8.1 covers general provisions for dwelling unit receptacle outlets, stating that receptacle outlets shall be installed so that no point along the floor line in any wall space is more than 6 feet, measured horizontally, from an outlet in that space, including any space at least 2 feet wide and unbroken by doorways, fireplaces, and similar openings. This is where the 12-foot spacing rule comes from, as the maximum distance between receptacles is 12 feet apart. 210.52 A2. I covers wall space, which says that as used in this section, a wall space shall include the following: any space 2 feet or more in width, unbroken along the floor line by doorways, fireplaces, and similar openings, and any wall space occupied by fixed cabinets that do not have countertops or similar work surfaces. 210.52 A3 covers floor receptacles, which says that receptacle outlets shall not be located in the floor within 18 inches of the wall. The NEC also contains a number of tables that must be adhered to for wiring requirements. For example, Table 310.16 in the 2008 NEC provides the allowable ampacities of insulated conductors rated up to and including 2000 volts. This table is essential for determining the appropriate wire gauge for a 15 amp circuit. For example, for a 15 amp circuit using type NM cable, which is commonly used in residential wiring, a 14 gauge copper conductor with a temperature rating of 60 degrees Celsius is typically sufficient, since it is rated for 15 amps. However, it is essential to consult the table and consider other factors, such as ambient temperature and the number of current carrying conductors in a raceway or cable, which may require using a larger conductor size. Remember, providing high-quality electrical services with a focus on safety and reliability can help you build a strong reputation and differentiate yourself from the competition. By going the extra mile to use screw terminals, parallel wiring, and thoughtfully planned outlet placement, you can provide clients with an electrical system that is both safer and convenient. Also, be sure to use tamper-resistant receptacles, which are now required in dwelling units. These receptacles have internal shutters that prevent children from inserting objects into the slots. To ensure that all wiring and outlet installations comply with local building codes, it is highly recommended to consult with a qualified electrical inspector. Local codes may have additional requirements or interpretations that differ from the NEC. Electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified individuals who have the necessary knowledge, skills, and equipment. When working with electricity, always follow safe work practices, such as de-energizing circuits before working on them, using appropriate personal protective equipment, and testing circuits to ensure they are de-energized. By following these guidelines, you can provide safe, reliable, and high-quality electrical services that meet the needs of your clients and comply with all applicable codes and regulations. Also, consider the load calculations required by the NEC to ensure that the circuit is not overloaded. The NEC specifies the maximum load that can be placed on a 15 amp circuit, which is typically 1800 volt amps. When determining the number of outlets to place on a circuit, consider the types of appliances and devices that will be plugged into them and their volt-amp ratings. Also, consider using arc fault circuit interrupters, or SIs, which are now required in many areas of the home. SIs are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires, and to de-energize the circuit before a fire can start. Furthermore, use ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in areas where there is a risk of electric shock, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor locations. GFCIs are designed to detect ground faults, which can occur when electricity flows through an unintended path, such as through a person's body, and to energize the circuit before shock can occur. When running wiring, be sure to follow proper wiring methods and techniques. This includes using appropriate cable clamps and connectors, securing cables to framing members, and avoiding sharp bends in the wiring. Also, be sure to properly ground all electrical equipment and devices. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to protect against electric shock. When selecting electrical materials, such as outlets, switches, and circuit breakers, choose high-quality products that are listed by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, or all. Listed products have been tested to meet safety standards and are more likely to perform reliably. To further improve safety, consider using surge protectors to protect electronic devices from voltage spikes. Surge protectors can help to prevent damage to sensitive electronic equipment caused by lightning strikes or other power surges. Also, be sure to properly label all circuits in the electrical panel. This will make it easier to identify and troubleshoot circuits in the future. When working on electrical systems, it is important to have a good understanding of electrical theory and principles. This will help you to understand how electrical circuits work and how to troubleshoot problems. Also, it is important to stay up to date on the latest electrical codes and regulations. The electrical code is constantly evolving, so it is important to stay informed of any changes or updates. When hiring electricians, be sure to choose licensed and insured professionals. Licensed electricians have met certain qualifications and have demonstrated their knowledge and skills in the electrical trade. Insured electricians have liability insurance that will protect you in case of accidents or damages. When obtaining electrical permits, be sure to follow all permit requirements and procedures. Permits are required for most electrical work and are designed to ensure that the work is done safely and in accordance with the electrical code. When scheduling electrical inspections, be sure to be present during the inspection and to ask any questions that you may have. Inspectors are there to ensure that the work is done safely and in accordance with the electrical code. Finally, remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following safe work practices and taking precautions, you can help to prevent electrical accidents and injuries. And be sure to consider energy-efficient lighting and appliances. Energy-efficient lighting and appliances can help to reduce energy consumption and save money on utility bills. Also, consider using smart home technology to control lighting, appliances, and other electrical devices. Smart home technology can help to automate tasks, improve energy efficiency, and enhance security. Furthermore, consider the impact of electrical work on the environment. Use sustainable materials and practices whenever possible to minimize the environmental impact of electrical work. And be sure to properly dispose of electrical waste such as old wires, outlets, and circuit breakers. Electrical waste can be hazardous and should be disposed of in accordance with local regulations. When working on electrical projects, it is important to have a well-organized workspace. This will help you to stay focused and avoid mistakes. Also, it is important to have the right tools and equipment for the job. Using the wrong tools can be dangerous and can damage electrical equipment. Be sure to inspect your tools and equipment regularly to ensure that they are in good working condition. Replace any damaged or worn tools immediately. When working with electricity, it is important to be aware of the potential hazards. Electricity can cause serious injuries or death. Always take precautions to protect yourself from electrical shock. Avoid working on electrical systems when you are tired or distracted. It is important to be alert and focused when working with electricity. If you are not comfortable working on electrical systems, hire a qualified electrician. It is better to be safe than sorry. By following these tips, you can ensure that your electrical wiring is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Also, consider using a whole house surge protector. Whole house surge protectors can protect all of the electrical devices in your home from voltage spikes. And be sure to have your electrical system inspected regularly by a qualified electrician. Regular inspections can help to identify potential problems before they become serious. Finally, remember that electrical safety is a continuous process. Stay informed of the latest electrical codes and regulations and always follow safe work practices. Also, consider using LED lighting. LED lighting is more energy efficient than traditional incandescent lighting and can last much longer. Furthermore, consider using occupancy sensors to control lighting in areas that are not frequently used. Occupancy sensors can turn lights on and off automatically, saving energy. And remember to properly size the electrical panel to meet the needs of your home. The electrical panel should be large enough to accommodate all of the circuits in your home, including any future circuits that you may add. Also, consider the location of the electrical panel. The electrical panel should be located in an accessible location where it can be easily inspected and maintained. and be sure to keep the area around the electrical panel clear of obstructions. Furthermore, consider the type of electrical service that you have. Most homes have either a 120/240 volt single-phase electrical service or a 208/120 volt three-phase electrical service. The type of electrical service will determine the types of appliances and equipment that you can use in your home. Finally, remember that electrical work is not a do-it-yourself project. Electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified professionals.